Hi, I'm Janet Bailey. I'm a retail designer in Brisbane and I design all things retail related. And I've got a great friend in Melbourne whom I love to speak retail stuff with.
And I'm that friend. I'm Debra Templar, retail strategist, and Janet and I talk retail all the time.
Absolutely. And these are certainly our own thoughts and comments as well. We make that clear each time. So, Deb, what have you been seeing that's come up on the news lately?
Well, the thing that's piqued my interest is actually happening overseas in France, however you choose to say it, where it's just gone through the lower house where they are putting a tax on fast fashion. In particular, they're looking at Shein and Temu and trying to stop the proliferation of that cheap fashion that is coming into the country. The problem is, of course, when people dispose of it, it's all going into landfill, et cetera, et cetera. So I've been watching that and going, oh, well, this is going to be very interesting to watch because if France can get it up and they're looking to put a €5 tax on every single item, as well as the company has to explain a whole swag of information and the benefits of it and the environmental impact. So if France gets that up, I imagine other countries will seriously be looking at it, ours included. I'm quite sure Tanya Plibersek is having a look at it. What are your thoughts on it? Have you seen it?
I have. I've read a little bit about it. And I mean, the first thing I think that comes to mind is France, the home of couture clothing. So you kind of wonder, is this a bit of them trying to
Yeah,
protect their brands and so on? I've also read that it's for clothing that you're buying online and also the advertising of it, that they're trying to block advertising for it. And I honestly don't see how that can be done. I mean, obviously, Shein is the first brand that comes to mind whenever someone says fast fashion. Um, but I just think whenever I have, and I have purchased that brand before, and it's been mainly accessories, but I have to say, I've honestly never seen advertising from that brand or even Temu. The only time that I see it pop up is when I have been browsing online at those brands. And do you know how you get those feeders down the side of your computer then where they start to generate some little ads on the side? But apart from that, had I not have been browsing, I've never seen an ad of theirs. So I think it's just become this global phenomenon that everyone knows that name.
absolutely. And their marketing is through social media. So, it's through Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. That's where they're doing all their marketing. And then, of course,
Yes.
their own apps. So,
Yes.
and the interesting thing is, Temu now has a warehouse in Australia. So it ships from Australia from Sydney. I think it's somewhere around
Yeah.
Sydney. So
Yeah.
they when you place an order, it doesn't necessarily come from China. But even with Shein, that does come from China, it's quick, it's
Yeah.
fast.
Yes.
Like I've used some of their products. I don't go overboard and buy swags
Mm.
as such. But I mean, if you just want a plain black t-shirt that's $5, and
Yeah.
it's a plain black t-shirt, you're not going to go and pay $150 for the same t-shirt, are you really?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. I mean, even when you start talking like that, though, it brings up the logistics of how do you differentiate between fast fashion when what you're saying, you can buy the $5 t-shirt through Shein, but you can also go and do that at Kmart. If we were to look at implementing those rules here, gee, I think Kmart would have a lot to answer for because basically that's what their fashion is too.
Yeah, well, if you like to self-serve yourself.
Yeah, let's leave that one. We'll park that one.
Oh, okay, then that's another day.
I know that's a little issue of yours,
Yeah. But
but
again, it comes back to what we've talked about before, doesn't it? Putting
yeah,
the customer first
yes,
rather than the shareholders or the business first.
yeah,
Because if customers don't like it, they're
mm,
not going to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but the other thing is too, the whole concept of fast fashion, and I understand what it is. I think everyone does. But who is the arbitrator that gets to declare this brand is fast fashion, whereas this brand isn't? So, for example, if you're someone whose whole wardrobe could be made up out of Chanel, you would look perhaps at what an average Australian may call, a nice designer label, Country Road, Sportscraft, something like that. And you go, oh, no, that's just fast fashion. So it really depends on where your scale of living is as to how you perceive other brands. I mean, yeah, look, Shein's an absolute no-brainer. But I think that I just don't think this could ever come into proper laws. I mean, fair enough, they may implement that you have to have an environmental statement for your company because that's becoming way more commonplace nowadays with all types of things. And that's easy enough. I mean, there's probably people that write those professionally day in, day out, and you just employ someone and they'll write that for you. But who is the one that gets to decide, oh, no, you're not fast fashion, you are, you have to meet all these criteria?
Absolutely, because we know that politics is so honest. Never ever would there be lobbyists or anything as such. Is H&M fast fashion?
Well, that's exactly right. And when you start looking at H&M and Zara, they're European brands. So again, France implementing these laws, is this about protecting their own? Is it about trying
Exactly.
to separate their European fashion from the Asian market fashion? Where is exactly what you're saying? There's behind the scenes lobbying going on. Waste from fashion is an enormous issue in itself, and I totally understand that and get that. But like I say, implementing it and regulating it, who is allowed to make those decisions?
Absolutely. I agree, because there has to come into it. Let's say it became law, just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost a form of racism.
Yeah.
It's a form of saying, "Oh, well, this is made in China. Oh, no, that's not good. Oh, yeah, but we'll leave H&M, we'll leave Zara, we'll leave others." Well, I don't think so. It's not fair. If you're going to do it, you need to do it for everyone.
And what's more is how many of those European brands are being manufactured offshore anyway. I mean, they may be European owned and designed, but I'm sure they're coming out of Asian factories as well.
Absolutely. Well, you look at Australian manufacturing, it's almost non-existent compared to what it used to be.
Yep.
Um, so Australian owned, Australian designed, yeah, but manufactured where?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
if it is manufactured let's say it is manufactured in China, will that then get hit or
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
Right.
And also, when we're in the middle of this living crisis at the moment, and people go, well, I can't afford to pay more than that for clothing, we do. Look, I understand there's a difference between being able to walk into your Kmart and those level retailers and instantly purchase what you want, as opposed to doing mail order. But they're all coming in at the same price point, is what I'm saying. So there is always going to be a need for that price point. When people are struggling to pay bills and feed families and stuff, they don't want to, they don't have the money to buy more expensive clothing. So, Deb, I'm going to call probably BS on putting in these laws and taxes into Australia on fast fashion, because I just don't think that as much as they try, that they should be allowed to regulate who is and who isn't. I don't think that they should be allowed to play God with the fashion industry. But I have to say, I do understand the waste issue, but I just think that so much more needs to be discussed on this issue before they can look at doing anything like that. That your thoughts?
Spot on.
Yeah. Okay. Um, and also, before we go, I might just go back to a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about bow repairs. Um, you've seen that one is not doing well either. Well, I was actually off at my bow repairs this morning getting a quote for 4 new tires, and basically they were offering me very, very limited stock at astronomical prices. And I said to the guy, "Is that because you guys are running your stock down because of the structure of the business going down?" And he just quietly said, "Yes, it is." So, yeah. Anyway, that was yeah, that's a few retail wraps ago that we were discussing that
Yeah.
one.
Well, and there's also Godfrey's.
Yes, 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 yep, that
Haven't
is
been able to find a buyer.
yes, final
600
nail in the coffin now.
Yeah, 600 staff are gonna lose their jobs. I
Yeah,
think their franchisees have got through until the end of next week,
yes.
to move the stock, et cetera, and so Godfrey's, as you said, nail in the coffin, gone.
Yeah, although I reckon watch that box because I think if it's done well, there could be someone that pops up to fill that space because there's still a need. We all need vacuums. So, yeah.
Mm.
Anyway,
Cool.
okay. Well, I think that's about it for the week,
All
and
right.
we'll chat later.
Look forward to it.
Okay,
See
bye.
ya.